Hey guys, welcome back to Buzzer to Buzzer. All right, so the NBA playoffs are well underway now, and they are a pretty unique playoffs, not only because of the obvious situation in which they're occurring with the NBA bubble, with us being able to hear raw audio of the players screaming and yelling at the refs for fouls, which has allotted in a lot of technical fouls, but also because of the unique matchups. We're able to see a Portland Trailblazers team at the number 8 seed giving the Lakers initially a hard time, and then an amazing series between the Mavericks and the Clippers, of all which we will be talking about today. So without any further ado, guys, let's get to our main segment for today, reacting to the NBA bubble. All right, guys, so let's get towards the first playoff series, which we highly anticipated, that being the Los Angeles Lakers with the number 1 seed in the West, playing against a pretty hot team off the regular season seeding games in the bubble, that being the Damian Lillard-led Portland Trailblazers. Now, guys, the Portland Trailblazers gave the Lakers a bit of a scary look that first game. They defeated them, and it looked like the Lakers were not ready, they were not synchronized, and all in all, their perimeter shooting was totally off the charts. However, after that first game, the next 3 games, the Lakers are currently sitting at a 3-1 lead over the Blazers, and last night they were coming off a red-hot game with a 20-point blow-off win against the Blazers, with LeBron James and Anthony Davis combining for over 50 points. So, with 1 game left, and Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN reporting that Damian Lillard will in fact be out, can we effectively say that this will in fact be a gentleman's sweep? Abi, what do you think?
I think that the Lakers are gonna win the series 4-1, especially after Damian Lillard has been announced that he's not gonna play for Game 5. And there's so much that CJ McCollum and Hassan Whiteside can do. And I know Melo has actually been doing pretty decent this entire series, but also Damian Lillard is a centerpiece of that offense. And without him, I think that the LeBron and Anthony Davis are just gonna easily get the win again, like they did last night.
Okay. Well, I gotta agree with the B on this one, especially with no Damian Lillard. The chances of Blazers even hoping to win this next game are slim to none. I think LeBron and AD take care of this one.
We are going to see a career performance from both Gary Trent and Carmelo Anthony tomorrow. They are both going to drop a combined 60 points, lead the Blazers to a Game 5 victory. Then, with the return of Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, then returning back to his prime form, they will win Games 6 and 7 and beat the Lakers 4-3. Mark my words, Blazers in 7.
Harsh is sounding a lot like Charles Barkley, who busted out the brooms in Game 1. However, he did prove to be pretty wrong. And it's pretty much, guys, without Damian Lillard and all that firepower which he brings from shooting wherever he'd like from, it's pretty much looking like a gentleman's sweep. And although I must say that I was pretty scared after that first game, after the Lakers lost, I was like, are these guys not ready? Are they lacking that team chemistry? But I think it was more of an issue that they weren't really taking those seeding games seriously, and they mistaken that first playoff game in that same scenario. But now, with LeBron's foot on the pedal, LeBron is ready to carry and help the Lakers along with AD, and this should not be a problem. We should see these Lakers advancing to the semifinals in the West pretty soon.
You called him, right, to make sure his feelings weren't hurt, right, LeBron? After Game 1 loss, right? You called him, right?
LeBron and I talk every night. We all good, yeah. All right. So let's move on towards a second series, which has been pretty good to watch. That being the Utah Jazz, being led by Donovan Mitchell, who's been putting a stellar performance on in this series. The Jazz are up 3-1, that being against the Denver Nuggets, being led by Jamal Murray. Now, both Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell have been putting on quite the spectacle, with Donovan Mitchell being the first player, I believe, to put up 2 50-point performances in a playoff series, and then Jamal Murray as well in that Game 4 it was. Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell both put up a 50-piece game. Truly a great game to watch, but right now the Jazz do have the 3-1 lead. Are we expecting the same outcome of a gentleman's sweep? Harsh, let's get started with you.
Yeah, I think, it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. The Jazz are going to win 4-1. And Donovan Mitchell is a fantastic player, right? He really is the centerpiece of that offense, along with Rudy Gobert really helping out on the defensive front. But I think this series, someone who hasn't gotten a lot of credit is Jordan Clarkson. Him and Donovan Mitchell average for the highest combo points per game since the playoffs have started in the bubble. And I think Jordan Clarkson also deserves a lot of credit in terms of this team's success right now.
Oh, I actually think it's going to go 6 or 7 games. I think Nuggets come back today, and they win, make it 3-2. I just think Nikola Jokic hasn't been playing all too well lately, and you see Michael Porter Jr. He was a starter for the first couple games, and he hasn't been playing like a starter at all, so they had to bench him. I think he resurges. I think Nikola Jokic has a great game tonight, and I think it could potentially go 7 games.
Yeah, I think that the Nuggets are gonna win Game 5, making it 3-2. But then I think that in Game 6, the Jazz are gonna win this series because I just see that every other game or almost every game, it's usually Donovan Mitchell performing on the Jazz, and with other players who help him, like Rudy Gobert, I think that they can. They're not gonna win the first game, Game 5, but Game 6, I think that they can win it because sometimes Nikola Jokic is just very inconsistent, and who knows, he can underperform in Game 6 too. So I think that the Jazz are going to win the series, Game 6.
I think that it's a wrap next game. The Jazz obviously have the momentum after losing that first game, winning 3 in a row. I feel like the Nuggets offense is pretty heavily dependent on Jamal Murray's success, and I feel like the Donovan Mitchell will easily carry the Jazz to a victory. And although it'll be a close game, I think that within a margin of 10, the Jazz will win and they will advance to the semis. Now, the Jazz and the Lakers series, these two series have been pretty one-sided now, with the Lakers leading 3-1 and the Jazz leading 3-1. However, two series which have been pretty close, and these are the series which I would say are the nail-biters, have been firstly the Thunder and the Rockets, and secondly the Mavs and Clippers. Let's first get started talking about the Thunder and the Rockets series. Now, guys, the Rockets took a commanding 2-0 lead at the beginning without Russell Westbrook. Now, they showed that they did not need Russell Westbrook to facilitate that offense, and without him, they were able to take down a Chris Paul-led team twice with help of James Harden. But the Thunder did prove that they were not going to go down without a fight, and they have come back with the help of Chris Paul to even the series at 2-2. Now, the guys, this series can truly go in whichever way. What are we feeling here, Arian?
I think Rockets win this series in 7 games. Personally, I mean, you saw the first 2 games; they were pretty much over from the beginning. The last 2 games have been very close nail biters. Third game, in fact, the Rockets basically should have won. Obviously, Harden got fouled out in overtime, but I think the Rockets just have more talent here, and Russell Westbrook is hopefully going to come back by the end of this series. And so, if he does, I see Rockets winning in 7.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with the Thunder and they're going to get the win in Game 7. Obviously, Chris Paul is the best player on that team, no doubt. But last game, I'm going to have to appreciate Dennis Schroeder's performance. He put up 30 points, and with Chris Paul's 26 points, I think that the Thunder just have a good offense going for them right now. With Steven Adams getting boards, I think that coming on a 2-game hot streak, I think that they're just going to keep playing. They've been playing the last 2 games, and I think that they're going to surprise the Rockets in Game 5 and 6.
You know, what's really interesting about this is in a prior video, we were talking about how the Rockets had finally figured it out. They figured out how to run a successful offense with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. And it looks like they're back to early season when they didn't have it figured out. It's like they've taken a step back now against the series against the Thunder. And if they want to win this series, they are going to have to find that success they had later on in the season by using both guards to their full potential. And for that reason, because it's such a short series, the Thunder have the momentum right now. I'd say the Thunder close the series up in 6 games. I think it's too late for the Rockets to come back now. They've lost the momentum, and to throw pieces around and try and figure out what was working or later in the season, it's where they're past that line. It's go out there and shoot threes, live or die by the 3.
Yeah, partial. 100% agree. You know, although James Harden did have a 32-point performance that last game, I feel like that even if Russell Westbrook is somehow able to come back after his injury, he's not going to be ready. I mean, the man has not played basketball for the past 2 or 3 weeks now, and there's for sure going to be some rust. And the Thunder, as we said, they have that momentum coming in. I mean, they were for sure labeled the underdogs coming into this series, but they have proven that they should be taken seriously. And especially give performance to not only Chris Paul, obviously, leading the team, but I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but Shai Alexander. Oh, his last name is Alexander. He's been stepping up as well to the plate. helping Chris Paul, showing that he's a valuable asset to the Thunder team, which is why I feel like that the Thunder will wrap this up in 6, not 7 games. All right, so let's move on to what is personally, I would say, my favorite playoff series happening right now, that being between the Luka Doncic-led Dallas Mavericks against the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, guys, a lot has happened in this series. The series is currently tied 2 games apiece. Now, that last game was with the iconic Mike Breen bang, with Luka Doncic hitting that game winner over Reggie Jackson, which we will definitely discuss, the impact of Kawhi Leonard switching off and all that. But this series can honestly go in whichever way. Mavericks obviously have the momentum, but Clippers do have the stars. But will those stars be enough? Like, cough, cough, Paul George, who has been shooting off. What do we think about this series?
I think the series is tangible on one thing. As Arya named him, Pandemic P. If Pandemic P in the next 3 games shows up, or 2 games, and puts on a show, puts up at least 25 points, something around that, the Clippers win this series easily. But if Pandemic P doesn't show up, this is the Clippers series to lose, and the Mavericks will move on to the next round.
I want to say this right now before we put this on the record. Tonight, I guarantee you Paul George gets 25 or more points. I guarantee you the Clippers win tonight, and I guarantee you the Clippers win in 6 games. Okay, look. I mean, you look at the Boston Celtics in 2008 or 2009 when they were good with Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and all them. In their first series together, they went 7 games in the first round. They went on to win the finals that year. So I don't think it should be taken as a big surprise that the Clippers are not sweeping the Mavericks, because the Mavericks have the greatest offense ever according to the stats and in offensive efficiency. And so I think the Clippers came into this series thinking it was too light. I think they figured out what to do now. We know that Kristaps is going to be out Game 5. I think the Clippers capitalize. I think Pandemic P gets back to normal form, and Clippers win in 6.
Hey, Zoran, you said that the Clippers figured out what to do now, but I don't think that's true. If they did figure out what to do, then they would have won a game when the Mavericks didn't have Porzingis. I think the Mavericks are going to do it again without Porzingis, and when Porzingis comes back, I think they're going to win again. So I think the Mavericks are going to win in 6 games, beat the Clippers.
I'm going to for sure give the Clippers their dues. I mean, I definitely feel like that Paul George, although he's been rusty, we've seen everything going on with him, but I feel like that this series will go a 7-game series, and it'll have that feeling of the Cavs and Warriors from Game 7, have that feeling in the sense that it's going to be a close game. Even that Game 7, I mean, we have seen Luka Doncic, what he can do. That past game, the kid put up 41 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists, something of that sort. And it's just phenomenal. I mean, at the age of he is 21, I believe, if I'm not wrong. And to be able to do that at that age and without another piece, I mean, like Abiyu said, they didn't even have Kristaps Porzingis that past game. And if Luka can lead a team like that without such a valuable asset, what can he not do? So I feel like that Paul George's struggles will continue, and I don't think that he will drop 25 points just out of the blue tonight. And if the Clippers truly did have a plan, it would already have been effect last game. But I will definitely give them each a game to lose more, but a game to win. But in the end, I feel like Mike Breen will be calling a bang one more time, and it'll be a game winner, which will decide that the Mavericks will move on and the Clippers will lose.
I want to point something out, Rayan. I think the only reason you're trying to say that the Magic are going to win 7 is because you're scared. You're scared your Lakers are going to have to meet the Clippers in 2 series. And, we'll see what happens then. But I'm telling you as of now, it's over.
Okay,
Kawhi Leonard's going to bring this home.
I'm not going to lie. At the beginning of these playoffs, when the Lakers lost that first game, I was a bit scared because of what was happening. But honestly, now there is nothing to fear with LeBron and AD stepping up their performances to that level, with the other players like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Danny Green, able to find their rhythms. I feel like the Lakers are in fine position now. They are fine-tuned. The chemistry is perfect now. And although, for sure, I mean, like any other NBA fan, we've been saying since the beginning of the season, the Western Conference Finals are going to be the Clippers and the Lakers. But honestly, after looking at these past 4 games between the Mavs and the Clippers, looking like the Lakers and the Mavs. And that series is going to be one to watch as well if it happens.
I think regardless of how Pandemic P performs and what the Western Conference Finals is, I think we were a bit lucky and unlucky to see this matchup this early on in the playoffs. I don't think the Mavericks are a 7 team. They're 4 or 5 seed team right now. And I guess we're lucky to see such a great matchup between them right now, but I would much prefer to see them later on in the round, like in the semifinals or even possibly in the finals.
Yeah, definitely. It's just the seeding and how the beginning of the season rocked for them, but things are the way they are for a reason. All right, so we hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. Be sure to leave your comments and ideas on what do you think your predictions will be for these upcoming series. Will the Lakers close out and perform a gentleman's sweep? Will the Thunder edge out over our James Harden-led Rockets? We'd love to hear you guys in the comment. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know if you want to see more reaction videos of the playoff games, and we'll be sure to bring those out. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.